Here we are back live now at Phillip Island, and we're about to see round one of the World Sidecar Cup. They are almost set for action here at Phillip Island. Warren Smith still calling the action for you with Kevin McGee. And you can see, amazingly, at the very end of the day, it is brilliant sunshine here at Phillip Island after it has been Scottish weather, gloomy almost all day. We've had rain on and off throughout the morning and the afternoon, but look at the sunshine now on the sidecar contestants. The world champion sits on pole position. His name is Steve Webster. His passenger is Paul Woodhad, and we are just about ready. They get off on the warm-up lap, and it's also my pleasure to welcome a very special guest commentator for the 21 laps of this world sidecar race this afternoon, Jack Muldoon. Welcome along. Great to have you on board at Fox Sports.
Yeah, thanks very much for inviting us up. Looking forward to this. It's going to be a very, very exciting and hard race.
Now, you're very attached to this particular race in a special way, of course. You can tell us why, because you've got a young bloke out there on the grid.
Yeah, to the tune of about 300,000. I'm so attached.
Stuart Muldoon out there on row number 3. His passenger, Chris Guzman. And they will be out there in action. I'll tell you what, they are exciting to watch. They'll head around Southern Loop a number of times, but Jack, I suppose we can say that Steve Webster, the current world champion, multiple-time world champion, is going to be very tough to beat here this Arvo.
Yeah, he's been very, very strong through practice, but Klaffenbach is a serious threat here. Klaus Klaffenbach in South Africa just outpowered him down the straights, and Webber did not have an answer back.
We'll see what happens this afternoon. It will be Klaus Klaffenbach. He'll be starting from the third row of the grid, the number 2 man. Webster will be up there on the front of the grid where he has been so many times. And Kevin, I know you've had a couple of goes on the side of the thing, swinging for Steve Webster, haven't you?
Well, yeah, we did do quite a few laps around Zandvoort in Holland back in the old days, in the dark ages, when I did have a 500 to race. And I tell you what, besides scaring the hell out of me, I almost fell out the back down the straight, which I didn't think would be a problem. But when it was all said and done, I was reasonably happy sitting on the back, actually climbing over to the right and hanging out the left side. It was a bit of a thrill.
Well, I'm glad you're in here this afternoon. Actually, I wish you were out there on the grid swinging today, because we'd have quite a lot of fun. We could have put a microphone on you. You could have talked us through a couple of laps while you're out there swinging, Kev.
That wouldn't be a problem. The pay would have to go up about 75,000,000%, but
it is
It
is a rather dangerous pursuit, isn't it, Jack?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it's only the brave-hearted out there that are capable of doing it. It takes a long time to get to this level, and these guys will prove it today.
We'll see what happens. They're not far away from coming down and lining up on the grid. As you said, this is second round of the World Championship. They've already been in action in South Africa.
On that note, Warren, I think you'd be the perfect physical shape to be the swinger on a sidecar, and I think you should be right there.
Is that right? Why am I suppose I am 6'2". I suppose I've got a fair reach advantage, which you might need on these things.
Fair amount of ballast to hold that inside wheel down, doing 140 mile an hour under GIO bridge, hanging out the side. You'd be right. You'd be set.
To tell you the truth, I'm very happy here sitting in the commentary box and watching them. But it's going to be exciting. The boys are happy. They're loosening up there. You can see back down the field the team there of Paul Phillips. He's out there having a good time. His passenger kicking the leg up in the air. And it's Steve Webster who will start from pole position. What do you think is going to happen off the line here, Jack?
I think Webster's not a very particularly good starter. Young Steinhausen, I think, will take the lead, and Klaffenbach will be chasing. The two-stroke brigade with Stewart and Janssen, who are both sides of them, are both strong off the line, and I think they'll make a serious charge too.
We get the green light. You can see the smoke pouring out the back of the sidecars as they head down Gardner Straight towards Doohan Corner. They approach turn 1. Webster didn't get a bad start. Also there, York Steinhausen from the second row. He sweeps through into second place. So a very good start from those two men from the start of the field. And look at that, Webster has a small advantage as they go into Southern Loop for the first time. Plenty of jockeying back down through the field as well, but it is Webster out in front with the sun setting into the west. Phillip Island here, but it's shining for the moment. Also, you can see, well, we get a retirement off the line. Drama for the Van Gils pairing there. That is a terrible result. Martin and Tony Van Gils struggling, and they won't be taking any part in the race. Around Honda Corner, this is where the passengers really earn their cash, getting over on that rider side of the machine.
A lot of physical work involved, Warren, climbing all over there, and it's against the G-forces and everything as well. So a lot of physical input there from the passengers on these sidecars.
It was Benny Janssen up there into third place, just behind Jorg Steinhausen, who holds down second for the moment. And look at Webster out in front and doing a marvellous job clearing out from them. We are just on lap one. They'll travel 21 laps in total. And here he comes, heading down towards MG Corner for the first time. Plenty of moves coming. Oh, number 27 there, getting up the inside, was it? That might have been Shane Suter, one of the local wildcard entries, of course, the Australian. We've seen him in action before here at Phillip Island. Nice manoeuvre getting up the inside of one of the back markers, coming down the hill towards MG Corner. Down they go. The passengers try and get down as low as they can, and look at this move. Sensational result for Klaus Klaffenbach it was, who was in third place. He just screamed past Jorg Steinhausen, Jack.
Yes, he has. He's slightly more power. It's the same in South Africa. He done exactly the same to Webster as well. But if you watch as the race progresses, they have to watch their back tyres on these. They've got over 200 brake horsepower, and they can't get the power down on the road because the tyres are not capable of carrying it. So there'll be a big tyre factor here.
We'll see what happens. At the moment, it is still Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead rather swinging at the side of the thing, but it is Klaffenbach who is the man on the moon. His passenger Adolf Harney there. Also, as they tip it into Honda Corner, look at Woodhead getting over the back tyre, trying to keep the thing on the ground. And it is Klaffenbach who is the man on the move and trying to reel him in. We'll see what happens. It could develop into a race in two between those two. I tell you, in Superpole, Steve Webster put an absolute gap between himself and everybody else. He reeled off a 1:39.226, which was the best part of 2 seconds faster than Jorg Steinhausen, who was second quickest. That was a great lap, Jack.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I'm just watching here where the two strokes are here, if they're fighting back. There's Janssen still, I think. Yeah, Janssen's sitting in fourth place and very strong, and I think you'll see a move on Steinhausen in the next couple of laps here.
A little bit wide coming around the hairpin there at MG Corner was Jorg Steinhausen there holding down third place. There is Adolf Harney hanging out the side of his machine, driven by Klaus Klaffenbach as they come around the top of the circuit. We'll try and keep you up to date the entire field as they come across the line to complete 2 laps here of 21. In round 2 of the World Sidecar Cup, at the moment it is the reigning world champion Webster out in front. He leads Klaffenbach by 1.9 seconds. Further 1.2 seconds back was Jorg Steinhausen, and then Benny Janssen, you can see there, is around about 3.5 seconds exactly off the lead of Steve Webster. Have you changed your mind yet, Kevin? You don't want to be out there yet?
Well, I'd be good for 2 laps, but after that, there's no way to be able to hang on. I'd need a seatbelt on the thing, Warren, but no, I'm reasonably happy here.
Back down through the field, Spence and Winters there, Steenbergen, Lengty there. Then you can see Messina and Schooler, Vince Messina, another of the local riders, Alison Schooler, swinging for him. We saw an incident a couple of years back at Phillip Island involving Vince Messina and Alison Schooler, and she certainly came off the worst of it. They swing around Southern Loop under the setting sun. Webster and Woodhead going quicker all the time, a 1:40.390. They're down to within a second of their qualifying time from yesterday's second session. Janssen on the move there, getting his machine moving up behind Jorg Steinhausen as they swing across the top of the track yet again at Lukey Heights. Oh, a wheel in the dirt as well. He's trying hard, Jack.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's trying very, very hard. He wants to make a bit of space as quick as he can on Steinhausen because of the advantage and power that they have.
It might have been a bit of trouble for your interest in the race because Stuart Muldoon, a long way back in 15th place, a minute 12 off, so perhaps something happened back in the field we didn't see.
Yeah, coming down Lucky Heights, I seen Ian Guy, the number 6, the number 9 machine going up the inside when you thought it was the Australian Shane Suter. It was actually Ian Guy, and I think there's maybe been either a coming together or Stuart's moved out the road and onto the grass.
We'll see what happens, but at the moment we have 15 riders and their passengers all on the lead lap. Webster, his lead now, grown a little bit to 2.1 seconds. Steinhausen and Pars are still there. They took a fair bit back on that particular lap, 5.6 seconds. So out in front, it is Webster doing a good job. Just in front of the man on the move as far as the grid was concerned. Klaus Klaffenbach coming from the third row of the grid up there into second place for the time being. Watching this battle, third place between Jörg Steinhausen, Benny Janssen there as well, and also the number 9 machine that is being driven by Ian Guy. Another of the British riders in this World Sidecar Cup at Phillip Island. Webster, another fastest lap, 39.971, within 0.7 of a second of his Super Pole time of yesterday.
Yeah, that's in response to Klaffenbach trying to get up onto the back of him, Warren, and Webster's come out of it and pulled a fast lap, and it's only about 0.8 off pole time, so he's getting down to the pole times after all the wet and dirt on the circuit, I guess, but it's not so bad for these three-wheelers.
You can see a fair bit of gravel spread across the track there up the top of Lukey Heights.
Yeah, I've seen it there, yeah. It's maybe going to cause a problem in the brakes down Lukey Heights and into the right-hander. You might find that some of the gravel gets picked up on the tyres, the front tyres especially, and there may be a chance of locking up here.
Webster heads into Doohan Corner yet again with Paul Woodhead hanging over the inside of the machine. The gap as they came across the line had shrunk. It's now just 1.8 seconds. So Klaffenbach was able to pick up 0.3 of a second on Steve Webster on that lap, and now he has the fastest lap, a 1:39.881. I tell you what, the conditions out there aren't too bad. They are certainly moving.
Yeah, they're getting good grip here. But even in the wet, there's good grip here with the sidecars. But Ian Guy has now made a move on Janssen, which I didn't expect him to do as early in the race. But he made a move on him, and if he pulls away, then he could be looking at his first, close on his first rostrum.
Looking at Jörg Steinhausen, he sweeps around the first of the hairpins here at Phillip Island. He's at Honda Corner. And now Christian Partzer hangs off the side of the machine. You can see the scraper there on the back of the leathers because they get that close to the road. Plenty of contact out there.
Yeah, just exactly the same as the knee scrapers on the solos, Warren. You know, a replaceable pad that you use kind of for gauge and sometimes a lifesaver, so to speak.
Yeah, I think it's more than a lifesaver. There's another word for it, but we can't use it.
They come around the top of the circuit. I'll tell you what, there is plenty of movement down through the field as well. Keeping up to date with it because we've had Webster out in front, but Klaffenbach is closing him down. Steinhausen there on board the number 8 machine for the time being, holding down third place, but coming quickly is the number 9 machine of Ian Guy. So plenty of changes in this Sidecar World Cup. The gap remained pretty constant as far as the 2 leading bikes are concerned, Webster and then Klaffenbach. But look at that, Steinhausen holds down third place for the moment, but Guy is on the move. Yeah,
I think Janssen's got a problem. After the warm-up on the grid, Janssen had a gearbox problem. He couldn't get it out of 6th gear and he used a hammer to try and tap it out. I think maybe the problem has shown its head again.
Well, you've got a problem on the grid. You just go for the persuader, don't you, Magoo?
Well, only sometimes, Warren, as long as it's not a problem with the visor, I guess.
They used to use the helmet. I was going to say they used to use the hammer on your helmet. Out in front, though, it's Webster leading them, and it's about 1.8 seconds, the difference between the 2 leading machines, and they've got around about an 8-second gap between themselves and Steinhausen, who still holds down third place for the moment. You saw Ian Guy there trying very hard. He was wide coming out of Honda Corner, and now he swings it up the back of the track around Siberia. Aptly named today because it has been cold, windy and very, very wet as well, but you wouldn't know it now. Look at the brilliant sunshine we've got.
It's come back perfect for the final Sidecar World Cup race, Warren, but again, that's just the way it goes, and that's how racing can change from 1 second to the next and the other lap to the next, if you like.
Still plenty of kitty litter or gravel out there across the track, coming across the top of Lukey Heights. So far, it doesn't seem to have caused a problem for too many of the riders or their passengers. Ian Guy trailing Steinhausen as they come across the line. But there you see Steve Webster out in front. And look at that, Klaffenbach getting closer all the time. He's taken a half a second out of Webster's lead in just the space of one lap.
Yeah, this is the move on now, I think. And once Klaffenbach makes a move on him and gets by, I think you'll find that Webber again has not got an answer. I was told that there's 20 horsepower been reduced from Webster's bike to try and combat this tyre problem. But no, I never heard anything about Klaffenbach. I think they're still running full power.
That really is a factor, isn't it, Jack? I mean, as far as the power, as you were saying before, it's nice to have all that power, but you've still got to have the rubber to get it through onto the road, and if you tear up the tyre, you can just kiss your chances goodbye.
Yes, it is, and the four strokes here with Klaffenbach and Webster, Steinhausen are running a harder compound. In actual fact, it's another tyre that's been made for the four strokes.
They come up the back of the circuit again. There is your race leader on track. This is lap number 7 of 21, so we're almost at the third race distance. But look at this duo. Klaffenbach and Harney closing in all the time as the wheel gets in the air across the top of Lukey Heights, and Webster is in for a surprise perhaps as they go down Gardner Straight, because he might be close enough, Kev, to get the draft going down the long main straight.
Yeah, well, if Webster's 20 horsepower down, as Jack said, Warren, that's quite a bit, especially when it's got to pull along 2 riders and the whole outfit. So there's a lot of work for the engine of an outfit to do. We'll see how Klaffenbach goes down the straight as opposed to Webster.
The gap won't be much as they come across the start-finish line. It's just 0.6 of a second. So they're getting closer all the time. The Austrian pairing, Klaffenbach and Harney, around turn 1. A little bit of a movement there from the bike.
Yeah, also Klaffenbach seems to be a lot tighter and tidier on his lines around most parts of the circuit too, Warren, I noticed. And he keeps setting the fastest laps, and there's another one, and that's right down on the actually under pole qualifying time by a 10th. So Klaffenbach's definitely on the move and out to sort out Webster, and he's right on him now.
Woodhead hanging over the inside of the machine with Webster doing the piloting up front. Some traffic coming. Oh, Webster went right into the back of him almost. I think that was the number 13 machine there of Phillips. You're exactly right, Jack. And it might have cost Webster a chance to win this race because Klaffenbach swept through to take the lead.
Yeah, Paul Phillips, he's out here just now with a new passenger. So he's actually going a lot slower to try and break the passenger in. So this has become a problem with the back markers as early as this for Webster.
He'll be determined to try and regain that lead, and here he is looking around the outside of Klaffenbach, coming over the top of Lukey Heights. He's got the inside line coming down to MG Corner, but he's not close enough to try and get back into the lead. So for the moment, it still is Klaus Klaffenbach out in front of Adolf Harney as they head around the top of the circuit yet again. But that was bad luck for Steve Webster, just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I guess that slower car saw the blue flag at the wrong time and moved directly into Steve Webster's line that he'd already picked. We'll see how Webster goes down the straight, if he can pick up the draft and get by maybe before the first turn. It looks like it.
Side by side as they go over the rise and down into Doohan Corner, and there is Steve Webster. Look at Woodhead hang out the side of the thing with his helmet, almost scraping along the tarmac. Back into the lead, heading into Southern Loop, but there's nothing in it. What a race this is out in front between these two.
Yeah, this is now going to happen with the tyres, where they're putting that much power down that the tyres are starting to come into play, and if they start blistering just now, they're going to fall back.
They come down through the very fast sweeping left-hander. The superbikes get through there at around about 240 kilometres per hour, and I dare say, Jack, that the sidecars wouldn't be far behind them.
No, they're not far behind.
Up out of Honda Corner, up towards Siberia. I'll head up the back of the circuit once again. 1 and 2, that's the way they run. Webster in the 1 machine, Klaffenbach on board the number 2 machine. Harney hanging out the side, a great view as they go up the back towards Lukey Heights. The passengers working. I tell you what, you've got to be fit to ride these things, haven't you?
It's definitely a hard job and a lot of physical.
Yeah, I'm just watching here with Steve Webster. There looks like a bit of smoke coming out of Webster's machine as he's pulling out of the tight corners.
Drama back down the field for Ian Guy on the grass on the inside of the entry to Honda Corner, and that is an inglorious way, and that is drama there. Oh wow, that is a very inglorious way to crash out at Honda Corner after he was closing in and doing a good job there in the battle for third place between himself and Jörg Steinhausen.
Yeah, this is a an incident we could do without here. It's a repeat of last year with Muldoon when Ian Guy spun and pushed the Shane Suter into Stuart Muldoon, exactly the same corner, exactly the same type of accident.
Well, look at the gravel and the dirt being thrown all over the inside of the track as well. That was a big moment. Andy Peach getting thrown out of the thing as well. There he is. Ian Guy, of course, getting trapped just inside there. You can see, well, the bike's starting to come apart and it lands right on top of him. That's the last thing you want. He looks to be okay, though. That's a good sign.
Yeah, they're both up and all right. Yeah. Ian Guy looks a bit shaken. I don't see Andy Peach just now, but I'm sure that Andy will be okay. He didn't look too badly hurt there when he was flung out.
He was able to get out of the way of the thing. You can see some officials out there trying to sweep up some of the dirt on Honda Corner there, because there was a lot of gravel and dirt thrown all over the racing line as they come into the tight hairpin, the first gear corner. So they'll be out there working feverishly to try and clean that up as they go up the back of the track yet again. Our leading duo, it is Webster and Klaffenbach. I tell you what, a little bit of movement as well from that machine in second place, ridden by Klaus Klaffenbach.
Yeah, Klaffenbach's working pretty hard, but you would think he made the ground up okay. If he tore the tyres up too much on the way, maybe. But what he should be doing now, he couldn't make that first pass that he basically got given to him on a silver platter with the lap rider problem. He couldn't make that one stick, so he's got to work out where he can get Webster and see if he can block him in some parts of the circuit, I guess, and make it stick in the rest.
Yeah, I'm just watching here with Webster's. I don't know if it's smoke that's coming out or it's maybe off his tyres. If you watch when he goes into a tight right-hander, over left into a right, you'll see a bit more black smoke than there should be.
So they went across the line this time. There was just 6/100ths of a second between them across the start-finish line. It doesn't get any closer than that. Webster once again still holds off Klaffenbach as they come around Southern Loop. We're almost halfway through this World Sidecar Cup round here at Phillip Island, and they head down out of Southern Loop towards Honda Corner yet again, and we'll see what sort of job the officials have done of cleaning up all that gravel that was thrown across the track in that crash with Ian Guy and Andy Peach coming out of their bike.
It looked as if Ian Guy had went wide and the sidecar had picked up on the gravel and just lost traction there and caused it to spin.
Out of Siberia once again, Webster. Well, we saw Klaffenbach closing him very quickly, and it looked as though he had enough momentum to perhaps get past Webster and then continue on after Webster ran into a little bit of traffic earlier on. But I tell you what, he's done a great job once he got back to the lead of holding Klaffenbach off. Perhaps the Austrian Klaffenbach is just biding his time, waiting for later in the race.
Yeah, I'm just watching here again with Klaffenbach pulling gravel out at the top of Lucky's Heights here. This is going to cause a problem, I think, to some of the other sidecars coming around. And
that smoke you were talking about, Jack, coming out of Webster's bike, it's been about the same for most of the race. I noticed it early on, so if he has got a problem, it doesn't seem to be getting any worse. Certainly holding off Klaffenbach, he can't be having too many problems.
If you look, Kev, at the both back tyres of Webster and Klaffenbach, you see that I think Webster's running a slightly wider rim back tyre on it, and this might be what it's maybe touching, just rubbing slightly off the fiberglass.
Yeah, it does look pretty close there on the right hand side of the rear wheel for sure.
As they come around the southern point of the circuit yet again, I can tell you fellas, some news coming through from that race 2 incident with Carl Fogarty in the World Superbike crash that he had with Robert Arm on board the number 33 Ducati. The initial diagnosis was a broken collarbone. Well, in fact, it's not a broken collarbone as we watch Webster come down into Honda Corner yet again and hold off Klaffenbach. What has been broken, though, is the left humerus right at the top of the arm, right up near where the shoulder is. And the word from the Clinica Mobile was that it would take 40 days to heal naturally, or he could have surgery and perhaps heal it that way. But the initial diagnosis is that he will miss every round up until Hockenheim in Germany. So that is a great shame for Carl Fogarty, of course, the 4-time world champion. And you would think his hopes of making it 5 world championships here in the year 2000 are all but shot now after that high-speed crash coming out of Southern Loop. Here's Webster, though, holding off Klaffenbach as they come around MG Corner. We're midway through this round of the World Sidecar Cup. You're watching it live and exclusive, of course, right here on Fox Sports.
Webster's still got everything under control as the sun's setting and bringing quite a few shadows onto the circuit now, but still no problem with those rain clouds and plenty of sunshine about. Klaffenbach still pulls out, goes by. He tried that last lap, but he couldn't make it stick, couldn't pull out of the draft. So Webster's certainly got some speed down the straight because that's where he passed Klaffenbach before, back after Klaffenbach got him with that lap rider incident.
Yeah, I think Klaffenbach has just shown him the nose now, just to make sure that Webster knows that he's still in contention here of taking this first place.
Their lap times have levelled out just over the 140 mark. Of course, we did see Klaffenbach put in a 139.1 earlier, but now there is nothing between them as they almost got side by side heading down to Honda corner again. And I think there might have been more drama down there at Honda because there's a whole raft of just stuff all over the track, dirt, grass, gravel, and I dare say a little bit of fiberglass as well.
Yeah, I think there'll be more fiberglass flying up the back of the pack of sidecars as well. I'm just looking at the monitor here, and Muldoon has climbed up into 10th place now, and Brian Gray is lying in 7th. I think if Muldoon gets by Spence and Lechty within the next few laps, you'll see some good action up there with Hausenberger.
You can see the lap time's very consistent from Steve Webster. He did put in a 142.869, but that was on the lap where he ran into trouble. He got into back of a back market coming out of Honda corner. You see Klaffenbach, he's also been very consistent as well. He put in a 142 on the same lap as Webster, but they've been very quickly back down into the 140 region. It is a race in two. They've got a gap of more than 20 seconds between themselves and Jörg Steinhausen, who holds down 3rd place, and there is 10 seconds between Steinhausen and Benny Janssen back there in 4th place. So take a look at the top speeds as they come down Gardner Straight. 244 from the machine of Webster, a little bit more grunt, it would seem, in the top end in comparison to the machine of Klaus Klaffenbach.
I think the Webster seems to have the grunt out of the corners, just that slightly bit more than Klaffenbach, but Klaffenbach is catching up. Like left-hand corners, Klaffenbach seems to be catching up. But here's a Steinbergen coming into play now, and no, he's let them through, which is a gentlemanly fashion of him. Paul
Steinbergen, Rene Steinbergen then getting out of the way. Were you at home in the foggy, rainy conditions earlier in the day, Jack?
Yes, I was. I was watching some of the action with Foggy. I'm afraid to say my man's Keeley, and I'd like to thank Frank Keeley for his attendance to the sidecar that went out of control in practice this morning and hit the pit wall. Thank you, Franco.
There was drama earlier in the day in a warm-up for an incident here in the sidecars. Of course, we are now in action. We're past the halfway mark of this particular round. Still Webster out in front of Klaffenbach across the top of Lukey Heights. Nothing between them. It's been this way lap after lap after lap. All more traffic there coming across there, and almost coming into contact was Ray Spence, one of the local men on board the Kawasaki Canberra Motor Works machine. Wasn't quite sure that Klaffenbach, he saw the blue flags and got out of the way for Webster, but he wasn't aware that Klaffenbach was so close to the lead man as well, and that could have been dramatic for the Austrian. Down Gardner Straight again, Kev.
Yeah, and Klaffenbach certainly doesn't want to lose any time due to the lap traffic. He wants to stay right on the back of Webster and see if he can get a shot at a lead here just before the end of the race. I think he's trying to plan something, and I really don't think he's got it figured out yet, but he's trying everything.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Webster and Klaffenbach are still lapping 139s, which is not far away from their pole position times. So they're not letting the pace go one bit here. It's hammer and tongs for both of them.
They come out of Southern Loop, down through the sweeping turn 3 again. Klaffenbach is right there on the rear wheel of Steve Webster. You can see how wide they are, tipping it into Honda corner. From first gear, they head away again to Siberia. Probably the warmest it's been up there all day. The rain and the fog earlier today, it was blowing as well from the west. Uncomfortable day for viewing, but it's nice now. And here is Jörg Steinhausen, still holding down 3rd place for the moment, but he's more than 22 seconds behind that leading duo. Oh, a little bit of out of shape as he came around the hairpin.
Trying pretty hard to hang on to, I guess, his lonely 3rd place. He'd be better off maybe cut the pace a little bit and keep it in line and finish the race. It'd be silly to make a mistake when you're racing yourself.
And you can see that gap increasing. It was 20 seconds just 2 laps ago, and it was 22 seconds as they came across the line to finish 14 laps. So we're past the 2/3 race distance here at Phillip Island on the World Sidecars. It's been a great battle out in front between Webster and Klaffenbach. You're getting a good look there of Christian Parza hanging out the inside of the machine as they came across the top of Lukey Heights, and now he gets over in behind the rider. They come through the 2 lefts, which lead them back onto Gardner Straight, and that's where Webster and Klaffenbach, they've already come down Gardner Straight. More traffic coming up as they head around turn 1. Across the line, it was 0.6 of a second the difference, which really doesn't matter at this point in time because they are so close. Oh, and Woodhead shaking his head there.
Yeah, he's wanting the back markers out the road a bit quicker. They should have either they've not seen the blue flags, or they should have a bit more sense and a bit of communication between the driver and the passenger. I'm just looking at the monitor here and I see that Shane Suter is now in 4th place with Janssen 5th. I think Janssen may probably have this gearbox problem we've seen on the line.
So the Australian up into 4th place, a great result. He's just on 36 seconds behind the leader, Steve Webster. That's him at close range. You can see the cameras zoom in as he comes up out of Siberia. Klaffenbach hanging on. It's getting very dark in some parts of the circuit, of course. We're not too far away from the sun disappearing here on the western horizon at Phillip Island, but they are turning on a great show. These 2 men, or these 4 men out in front. Webster with Paul Woodhead going across on the inside of the machine, and then also right behind him, Klaus Klaffenbach and Adolf Harney. Qualified on the 3rd row of the grid. Webster, the one on his front of the bike, he was the pole sitter. Was led for pretty much all the race, bar a brief moment when Klaffenbach came through to take the lead when there was a little bit of traffic came into play.
Be an interesting lap time for Webster on this lap because it looks like he's just put Klaffenbach back a little bit, but no, that's not the case. He was actually a little bit slower than Klaffenbach on that last lap. So Klaffenbach, yeah, he's definitely right back up onto the back of Webster, and he's going to give it a shot on this last few laps for sure. He's trying to work out what to do still. He doesn't look like he's got his mind made up at all.
I think you'll find he's watching his lap board, and he'll be watching the times when the times get just a wee bit closer and go further down, and he's going to make his move.
Slight look up the inside there, but he's not close enough to try and pass Webster, and of course it would be a bad place to pass. I don't think we'll see too many passing manoeuvres attempted getting into Honda Corner there at the hairpin because there is just so much debris over the inside of the track. It would be tempting fate. You could easily spin out and lose traction, and that could be the end of your chances in one fell swoop. Klaffenbach on the last lap put in a 1:39.662. Webster was 0.4 of a second slower, but he still holds onto the lead. It's getting very interesting, Jack, because we've got just over 4 laps left.
Yeah, well, Klaffenbach's lapping just now, I think, is it 0.6 quicker than Webster, so he's obviously watching the lap board and keeping close proximity with Webster. If he lets him go at all, stretch out at all, then he's going to lose this chance of fighting for first place.
Around the top of the track they go again. Klaffenbach just got the inside wheel slightly over the white line and onto the dirt. No problems for him as he comes around turn 12 and down Gardner Straight. The passenger gets a bit of a break but has to hang on, as you said, Kev. It looks simple when you tuck into this position, but to tell you what, you've got to hang on. There are plenty of G-forces involved.
There definitely is, and as well as the G-forces was the wind's trying to blow you out the back as well. So I thought when I was with Webster that I could have a bit of a rest there, but no chance.
No resting at all, Kev. You just got to tuck in and keep as much wind out the road of the bike as possible.
They sweep around turn 3 and will head down towards Honda Corner once again. You saw a great difference in speeds as far as the top end was concerned between Klaffenbach and Webster as they came down Gardner Straight. He had almost 11 kilometres an hour on Webster Klaffenbach, so I think he's got plenty in reserve and he's just waiting and waiting. He might wait until the last or second last lap and just pounce and try and gap him right at the very death.
Yeah, they're coming up now on a back marker, Brian Gray, one of the British teams. I just hope Brian sees the blue flags out the road. I see Webster, a bit more smoke coming out of Webster's rear. I don't know if it's a tyre or I know he had a gearbox leak yesterday morning, which put him out of the free practice for most of the morning, only get 2 laps in because of this. But I don't know if that's oil going back onto the exhaust that's causing it, or it's coming off the rear tyre.
They're right up there now with Brian Gray and his swinger Steve Pointer, who's on the racing line for the time being. Woodhead again is getting animated. He's shaking his head saying get out of the way because we've got World Championship points up for grabs here. We've got Klaffenbach right on our tail. Now they get to the outside of the circuit. They'll scream past Brian Gay, but look at Klaffenbach. He poised, he pounced, he got the draft going down the straight and goes back into the lead. So the Austrian straight past the Englishman into the lead here, and we've got just over 3 laps left here at Phillip Island.
Well, he can get into the lead, but Klaffenbach's needed the help of a bit of the lap traffic every time he's done it. He hasn't been able to make it stick before. We've got 3 laps to go. We'll see if he can make it stick this time. He's had plenty of time to study what Webster has been doing out front, the way he's been riding, the lines and everything else. So if he can't make it stick now, then I don't think he's going to win in a drag down to the line from turn 12 either.
No, I think he's going to have to do it on the corners, but you see that smoke now coming out of the back of Webster's. I think it's possibly an oil problem.
He's right there with him as they go around Siberia. Across the line, Webster actually led by 9 1/1000ths of a second, but Klaffenbach with that draft just kept the power on all the way across the rise into Doohan Corner and took the lead, and now the race is his to lose, as they say. Webster is right there with him, the inside wheel getting in the air. Woodhead comes across to the inside. Look at Adolf Harney, the way he gets across the thing.
I think the race is on in earnest now, Warren, with Webster being relegated to second there that last time down the front straight by Klaffenbach. I think we'll see Webster really put the hammer down now in this last couple of laps to get back in front of Klaffenbach.
Yeah, it'd be a pity if mechanical come into play now, wouldn't it?
Well, here they are, coming down Gardner Straight yet again, and this time they have just 2 laps left to run. Klaffenbach with Webster right there in his wheel tracks, looking up the inside, but not this time, Stevie. Very close, but not close enough. He swings it back to the inside now, getting into Southern Loop. No space there because Klaffenbach closed the door as well. This is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, these 4-strokes are so heavy on left-hand corners. You watch the sidecar trying to tip up. It's just a gravity factor all the time with them.
Here they are coming into Honda Corner again. Oh, Webster, an inside line. He was taking on the kitty litter, which has been spread across the track, but he avoided it close enough. He was looking, he's thinking, well, maybe I might have to take my chances and try a pass there as they come down towards the hairpin.
I also think Warren Klaffenbach might have learned quite a bit from Webster following him around for that many laps, because Webster's certainly struggling to get back past him, unlike the first time where he just went straight back by, no problem at all.
So much experience. Oh, Steve Webster is in second place, and here's more traffic coming up. Klaffenbach across the top of Lukey Heights, gets around the outside. Webster is even wider. No problems. They both got through there okay, and you see Klaffenbach just covering the inside line as they come out of the second hairpin here at Phillip Island. So we've got just over 1 lap left to run. Both men on the inside of the circuit there, a wheel in the dirt as they come around the most northern point of the track. And here's Webster. He's right there close enough to pick up the draft, and we'll see what happens as they go down Gardner Straight for the second last time. They'll get the last lap board. Webster is right there up the exhaust of Klaffenbach.
Long as he doesn't pull out too early and get blown backwards before the braking area. But is he going to? No, he can't hold it.
He was trying, he went very close, Jack, but he just didn't have the horsepower to get past.
No, Klaffenbach's on a do-or-die effort now. He's not going to let this up if he can let this go if he can help it. And it'll just strengthen his championship points more.
Around Southern Loop, through turn 3 for the last time. They'll go under the bridge, down to Honda Corner. This is one place where Webster might think about launching an assault. Here he comes down the inside, across the dirt. Oh, they came together. They came together. He took his chances. He lost the swinger. Klaffenbach lost Adolf Harney out the side of the machine, and now Webster is back into the lead, and the race will be his. And of course, you can see the effect of having no passenger in the machine. You just can't turn left. Webster took his chances. They came together, and the race will be his.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of gravel on the track there as Webster was braking, and I think he locked up and went into the side of Klaffenbach's front of the fair and pushing him off.
It was always going to be a risk. Of course, it could have worked the other way. Webster could have spun off the track on the inside when he came to the dirt. He lost control of the machine, but of course he had Klaffenbach there on the outside. Perhaps Klaffenbach, the only mistake he made, he might have taken on the dirt himself and just gone in there covering the corner. But of course, with the lead, that would have been a very, very risky move.
Yeah, and there's no way it was going to get traction across the top of those stones. That you could see how many there was and basically how large they are. It's just going to go straight ahead across the top.
Here's Steve Webster. He comes down to the line and picks up the victory in round 2 of the Sidecar World Cup for 2000. And he won it with this move here at Honda Corner. Look at that. Klaffenbach, the machine slewing sideways. Adolf Hani coming out of the side of it. That was the end of the section as far as the Austrians were concerned. Webster and Woodhead, they pick up the 25 points here in round 2 at Phillip Island after Klaffenbach and Hani reversed the result in the very first round at Kyalami in South Africa. Here comes Jörg Steinhausen. He will pick up 3rd place and get 16 points, just as he did in the first round. So a couple of podium finishes for Jörg Steinhausen. But Steve Webster, the multiple world champion, he picks up the victory here, 25 points. Jack, thanks very much for helping us out today. It's been a great pleasure having you alongside. I'll tell you what, we saw a pretty good race as well.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, and I'm going back now for the second part of the excitement of the race, because there's no love lost between Webster and Klaffenbach, so it'll be exciting in the pits. Thanks very much. Exactly
right. There's Jack Muldoon, of course, one of the mechanics with Stuart Muldoon, of course, and Chris Guzman, of course, who he's his swinger, but there's Webster. He is the winner, and Klaffenbach will come home back down through the field after picking up Adolf Hani. But there'll be drama back there in the pits. I better let you go, Jack, and see some of the action, because it might be fisticuffs. Get the gloves out, Kev. That concludes it here at Phillip Island. What an exciting day of racing, I tell you what. Kevin, it's been unbelievable. Let's take you back down to pit lane, though. Here is Cameron Williams standing by.
Thank you very much, Warren Smith and Kevin McGee, for your commentary over this Easter weekend. But of course, as great as it's been, there's hardly time to catch your breath on Fox Sports as far as motor racing coverage is concerned. Next Sunday, a big double header. We've got the World Superbike Championship continues, round 3 from Sugo in Japan, and that is next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. exclusively live. And then it is the World Motorcycle Championships. We'll have all the classes, the 125s, the 250s and the 500s at the Spanish Grand Prix at Jerez. You don't want to miss that. And of course, on behalf of Andy Raymond in the pits and a wonderful crew in our broadcast truck, I am Cameron Williams. Thank you for your company. Bye for now.